Welcome to this week's episode of 3 Minutes of Torah Wisdom and Wonder. Yaakov and Esav, two very different brothers, hear the tragic news of the passing of their grandfather Avraham Avinu. The Torah tells us that Avraham was taken 5 years early because Hashem didn't want him to see his grandson Esav being involved in the terrible lifestyle and all the transgressions that he committed. And so Yaakov is cooking the lentil soup. Lentils are mourners' food, like eggs, they're round, which represent the cycle of life. And Esav comes in, and Esav says to Yaakov, Haliteni na mina adom ha'adom hazeh. Pour for me. Haliteni, Rashi says, is a lashon of like animalistic camels drinking. Just pour it down my throat. This red stuff, because ki ayef anochi, because I am exhausted. The Rav Gladstein quotes Rav Simchel Zissel Brody, the Hebron Rosh Yeshiva, who says that this reality of Ayef Anochi is a spiritual exhaustion, and it's something that's very dangerous. Because of that spiritual exhaustion, so Esav committed 5 primal sins on that day. So the Gemara in Bava Basra, Tes Zayin Amud Beis, says that Esav committed murder, adultery, denied the existence of God, denied the resurrection of the dead, and he rejected the firstborn, the Bechorah, all on that day, because once he had the spiritual fatigue, he became vulnerable to his base desires, and he was not able to resist them and to turn down those temptations anymore. And so this is a very powerful spiritual lesson for all of us. My understanding of it is that when a person understands there's God, which is the most obvious thing in the world, that this whole magnificent universe that we exist in is not by accident and chance. Everywhere we look, we see design, we see wisdom, we see purpose. And God created this world with the purpose of us human beings having free choice and choosing to live in a moral, spiritual way, rising above our lower base desires and our instincts, our animalistic instincts. And when we constantly are connected with this idea, we have belief and trust in God, and we understand there's purpose to life, and we are to exert ourselves to live on a higher moral level and fit into God's morality and God's system for this world, so then we have the ability and the strength to resist our lower selves. And as the Pasuk in Yeshaya says, Koivei Hashem Yachalifu Koyach. Those that have hope in God, their strength is constantly renewed. And by the way, that's why the Ramban says, the Torah tells us about Yaakov Avinu moving the cover for the well. There was a heavy cover on the well. The shepherds couldn't move it. Yaakov could, because he had the spiritual strength that manifested in the spiritual strength, in physical strength. So likewise, when we lose spiritual hope, when we lose our belief in a God, when we don't see meaning and purpose in this world, so then we become very vulnerable, and our animalistic instincts overcome us, and we become dark, and the world becomes dark, and we turn to destruction, and we turn to negativity, as Esav did. And so it's so important that although there'll be times we're more inspired and less inspired, but we never lose belief and trust in God and understand there's meaning and purpose, and we have the great ability to build ourselves and to build the world. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe.